That's amazing, right? Sometimes people are going to persecute you. Sometimes people are going to talk negative about you. Sometimes people will have a extreme hate towards you, right? And it's not even them, it's the enemy, right? We have to take our mind off of thinking, our heart, the enemy knows, right? Because he's an accuser of the brethren, right? The enemy knows that if he used people, right, that are close to us, that it'll break our hearts, right? If our mind is not focused on who's really behind it. So Jesus said to Peter, even though he was talking and looking at Peter, he was not talking to Peter directly. He was talking to the spirit that was influencing Peter. And being in the word helps you to remind yourself that when people are saying things, all manner of things about you, and they're doing things that are breaking your heart and breaking your spirit, you got to realize they are being influenced, right, by another spirit, right? Because if it's, and so, how you respond proves what's good, right? How you live your life, how you spend your time, how you manage your finances proves what is good, what is acceptable and perfect will of God. So even if you never had to open your mouth, even if you've never had to say, I'm a believer or a follower of Christ, you should be walking in such a way that people can look at you and say, that must be that. I can see that that's the way to go. That is good. That is perfect. That is the perfect will of God. God should be able to look at you and see your life being able to prove what is good and what is acceptable, right? So that means you living your life in a way where you're proving what is good, which means you're going to do the opposite of what the world is doing, right? The world you might have people around you and they may be smoking weed and they may be drinking and they may be smoking and they may be out there partying and doing all kinds of stuff. You're proving what's good when you do the exact opposite, right? When he told us to be in the world and not of it, which means you can't get out the world. You're going to be here, right? But you've made a decision by separating yourself in the midst of the crowd, right? Making a distinguishable difference so that you can prove what is good, right? And what's acceptable, meaning that when you ever been around certain people and they start to feel like, it's either one or two things. They always feel like either you're judging them and you may have not said a word out your mouth, right? But your very life makes them feel like you're judging them, right? You may be around somebody and somebody might be living a way that is not in alignment with the will of God. And you don't even have to say a word. But people will look at you and say, you think you so much and you think you better than you could be like, I didn't say a word, right? Proving what's acceptable means you're not in agreement, right? And it doesn't mean that you have to be all hard and cold. It means that you live in such a way that your life proves what is good by the way you speak, by the way you carry yourself, by the company you keep, by your habits, because most of the time we good to look at one person and look at what they're doing, but we have a hard time looking at what's going on in our own life, right? So proving what is good, what is acceptable, what is acceptable according to God, right? And perfect will of God. Understanding that we have different gifts, that we have gifts different from one another. In other words, God has blessed you with a gift that may be different from me. We all have different gifts. If no one person has it all. No one person have it all. So I can't look at the person that's next to me and be concerned about what they're doing, because we all have gifts differing from one another. You might have a gift of prophecy. You might have a gift of faith, right? You might be a giver, right? You might be a person that loves, right? We all have different gifts. So because your gift differs from mine, it doesn't make us in conflict with one another. If anything, it should complement us. If you have the gift of faith, that means that